Hey y'all, welcome to Pink Shade. It's Mary Payne here. It's Thursday, and so we're still trying to name Thursday's show, but I think we're going with Shades of Bravo. Barely Bravo.
Like that.
But you guys, I'm so excited because I have two very famous Bravo podcasters, Ben and Ronnie from Watch What Crappens, my friends. Hi, guys.
Hi, Mary Payne.
Hey, Mary
How are you?
Good to
I like
hang
that
out with
broadcast.
you, baby.
That's a great new term. It's a broadcast.
It's a broadcast.
Get in there.
Yeah. You guys, so on Thursdays, I talk about kind of whatever, but throw in whatever's on Bravo that week. I don't do it, show by show like you guys do. So that's why I'm just like Shades of Bravo. We'll just sort of talk about it and then talk about whatever else comes to mind.
Let's get into a shade of Bravo.
Just a shade.
Yeah.
So how are you guys recovering after your worldwide tour?
Oh my goodness. It's been wonderful. I took July to have a lot of like self-care, like started going back to the gym, cooking more, just like doing like just it was just so nice to not travel, not to move. And like I am like literally so happy. I mean, I love touring, but it's so nice to sort of like get back into just like home routines and take care of myself more. So it's been great.
How about you, Ronnie? What have you been doing down there in Texas?
Watching TV, reading books, going out to dinner, going to Home Goods a lot. I started going on the TikTok because, I'm always 10 years late with everything. So I started doing that. But good. I'm loving it. But there's still so much Bravo on, it's like, it's never like a true vacation. It's never, don't you feel like that? It's like, even on a day off, like something, you'll be off and then something happens in Bravo land. It's like, maybe Kyle Richards is having a gay affair. And then everyone's like, oh my God. And then it takes up your whole month just thinking about it. Thinking about like, where'd you meet Morgan Wade? And what do they talk about together? Do they both like chicken wings? Like, what's happening? I feel like it's just, once you're obsessed with Bravo, you never really have any time.
There's no time off.
Yeah. And I do that as well as all the 90 days. And there's 3 iterations of 90 Day on right now. 3.
I don't know how to do that.
It's a lot. We've got 90 Day UK, which is great. And then we've got 90 Day before the 90 days. And we've got 90 Day the other way. So it's a lot of 90 Day to cover. And then I also, Bravo, I watch for enjoyment, not because I'm recapping show by show. So at least I have that. As a Morgan Wade Kyle, I can really get on board with. Get on board.
Yeah. We are in the throes of summer reality TV season. Big Brother just started last night. So that's going to be like a 3-day a week commitment. Love Island UK. I've been watching Love Island since I think the season started somewhere in June. And that's been like a 6-day a week commitment. And that is wrapping up. And then I'm going to dabble in Love Island USA to see how it is because Ariana's on it and I'm very intrigued. Well, she has a cameo and I'm intrigued to see how that happens. So there are all these like shows that have like 1 million episodes on it all at the same time. It's been really good timing having the tour end in time to watch these shows that take up a huge amount of hours.
And what about The Bachelor? Are you guys watching that too? Because then that's like on, I feel like that's on every night as well.
No, I stopped that one when I stopped doing Rose Pricks. So I used to do Bachelor podcasts. It's still on. It's still really good. Everyone go listen to it. Rose Pricks with Stephanie and Cecily now. Not jealous at all. And when I stopped doing that because in COVID or whenever they weren't shooting, they did this thing where they showed like 10 seasons of The Bachelor back to back, but they made like 3-hour episodes, but they packed all the season into one episode, so you saw all the seasons and just seeing them all back to back like that. I felt so manipulated. I was like, this is literally the same thing, which I already knew. I mean, know that as a viewer that you're watching the same formula over and over, but I just felt so lied to. And I was like, You know what? Fuck this show. You do not get my final rose. Get out. And so I've missed a few seasons, but I still read the boards about them. And I think it's time for me to jump back in. What do you think? Is it a good time to jump back into that? Do you think it's flailing or do you think it's like thriving right now?
Not a clue. I am interested in this.
You did watch it.
No, I no, because it's one of these shows that are like, I feel like it's on a couple of times a week for several hours, like Big Brother, like Love Island. I've only watched one season of Love Island, and this was per our Facebook moderator, our friend Hot Dang Jessica Dang. You know,
Yes, we love Hot
Oh,
Dang
yeah.
Jessica Dang.
Yes, and she had me watch Love Island UK season
Good.
3.
Oh, I
Season
haven't
3.
seen season 3, actually. I have seen season 4 to present, but that's another task for me is to watch seasons 1 through 3. And how did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? You only did one season.
Well, I said I'll do it, and then like if I really enjoy it, maybe I can get into it. It's no lie, 60 something episodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when she came on to like talk about it, we had to do like 10 at a time. I was like, oh my God.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And so if you're trying to watch all your Bravo shows and then dabble in other stuff, and then you got a Big Brother, a Bachelor, a Love Island, you don't even have time to sleep, really.
But you know what's funny though is that there's actually so much that it goes full circle and it becomes actually very easy to watch because it literally just becomes part of your daily routine. Like you wake up, you watch Love Island, like you watch the news, and you go on with your day. Or you finish your day, you're in bed, and you finish with Love Island because it's on like every single night.
Every
and
day,
you get so into it, you don't want to ever miss it. You know, I'm like this season, I'm obsessed with. This season is so good. Although all the guys are not hot, which is a real problem for me. But the season is so good.
Yeah, the one that I watched,
to catch up
the guys weren't all hot that third season, but the girls were something.
The girls are always gorgeous.
Something, yeah. No, and as for The Bachelor, I am interested in this new one that's coming along with like the silver single Bachelor.
Oh,
like,
so that hasn't started yet?
What? Tell me.
I don't think so.
Silver single.
You know, he's like a hot 70-year-old.
It's called
Get Out. I'm looking it up right now.
Man.
Yeah, and he's good looking, and he's like 70, and I think all the women are going to be like between 50 and 65 or something. And I think that is they should have done that before. Now that's something I'm going to watch. If it's already started, then I'm sorry.
I feel like it already started. You know what? I'm going to Google it while you guys keep talking.
Hey, someone who was on The Bachelorette came out as gay. That's 5 hours ago. Just so you know.
Who?
A girl or a guy?
Gabby Windy. Former Bachelorette Gabby Windy comes out on The View. Oh, God. That's where you come out on The View?
On The View? That's okay. Well,
it comes out September. Speaking of coming out, The Golden Bachelor comes out on September 1st, 2023.
Okay, so we haven't missed it, guys. We haven't missed it.
We've got time, y'all.
We've got time. I got to get through August. So, all right. So we've covered what you're watching, and
we did not cover everything I watched. I just want to spread the misery in case you guys haven't seen it. When I'm done with Bravo, I like to watch not depressing things, but like thriller mystery type things. That's my jam outside of Bravo. I just watched the Tom Holland show, The Crowded Room. It's the most depressing fucking thing I've ever sat through. I've been depressed literally all week. Okay. Because I watched it all in like 3 days and I can't take it. And so maybe I will just start watching all this other stuff again because it killed me inside.
What's it about? Give us the premise.
This guy committed a crime, and Amanda Seyfried, of course, the most gorgeous, like 25-year-old whatever, is like this brilliant because in every show it's like that, right? She's like, I'm beautiful and I'm here to interview you. And
he's like, beautiful and smart.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm beautiful and probably a murderer. So she interviews him, and so it's like the story of his childhood and everything while she's trying to piece together this mystery. But it just goes to some dark, horrible places. And I've just been in a horrible place. I would like to say thank you, Tom Holland, and thank you to that fucking show, and thank you to everything on Bravo for actually saving my life. Okay, carry on.
Okay, I'm going to recommend Burden of Proof. Did you guys watch that? It's a documentary.
What is it? What is it about?
Write it down.
It just starts out with there's a guy my age-ish, and he is
23.
That's right, 23. And he's trying to figure out who murdered his sister in 1986. So he had gone to college and his sister was 15. And when I say murdered, that we don't know if she's murdered. We still don't know we still don't know if she's murdered. She disappeared. She is still disappeared. And she disappeared out of her room, as teenagers do, snuck out one night and then that's it. No one's ever seen her again. And the parents were suspects. So it's all about him trying to pin it on his parents It's a
Oh,
documentary, and it's
wow.
yeah, and he's got this like gorgeous home. He lives in North Carolina, and he's very aspirational life. But then he's like trying to figure out if his parents killed his sister.
Oh my God.
It's
That's
really
Wow.
good.
crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever see that documentary from like the late 90s by um, Joe Berlinger? What was it? It was about like some goth kids who are accused of murder. It was like a very, very famous true crime
Yes, I remember
documentary.
that.
And they basically the documentary, like essentially these two kids were accused because they were goth. And
Mm,
then they find all this evidence, like they find evidence in the documentary that shows like it's most likely like a stepfather or something who did this, but the town was so dead set on like hitting
yes,
on the goth kids that they were just like, nope, it's the goth kids.
yeah, definitely. They're doing like blood rituals and stuff. I remember that.
Yeah,
Yes,
when you talk about like how this guy was like very dead set on blaming the parents, that's what made me think of like that
yeah.
I wish I could remember the name of that documentary. I'm gonna look it up in the meantime.
I know exactly
Please.
what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about. And it was
Yeah,
like,
it was
yeah.
it was like a
Mm-hmm,
significant documentary. It was Paradise Lost.
mm-hmm. And they said like they found stuff in the woods that showed that they were doing like sacrifices and stuff, but it was really
Yes.
like somebody that was in the house. It was like a stepdad or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, who like came
Oh
back
my
and killed the
God.
kid or something crazy.
Wow,
Yeah,
it's
I
But were
burning
do.
they
proof.
doing blood sacrifices? They
Out
were
in the
just not.
woods.
Oh, okay. So they were
Yeah,
just non-murdering blood sacrifice. They were just
they were just
sacrificing
they were
smaller
like
game, if you
yeah, they
will.
were just finding things out in the woods that like these goth kids were, having campfires and stuff, like at night, like would
No
sneak out of
goth
their house and
kids.
the
Yeah.
goth kids are out there smoking, drinking their beers. You know how they
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
You know,
You know how they do.
those
I'm
goth
sorry,
Those
kids.
I
goth
totally
kids.
hijacked your burden of proof discussion with this documentary, but
No,
uh,
no, you didn't. I'm gonna recommend that one. It's very, very good. So all right. We've done you've done your tour. You got through Scandival. You were on tour when the Scandival broke. How did that affect your recapping? Because you had you had to keep up to the minutes with all the
Well, you
stuff.
know what's so funny is we named our tour the Cheeto Brand Tour,
Hmm.
which had nothing to do with that, obviously. And then it happened during the tour, and then the whole tour became about the cheating. Because if we would
Yes.
do any other show, which we had to, because sometimes we would do 3 shows in a week, so we do recaps for our show. So we had to do whatever was coming on, right? So
Yeah.
only one show is going to get Vanderpump Rules, and people would get so pissed if we weren't doing the
Yeah.
because really they just wanted a public forum to come scream "fuck you" at Tom Sandoval, which
yeah.
And
was
you're like, he's
fun.
not here. And you're like, he's not here. But we'll pass it
It was like
on.
a town hall. I remember our Charlotte show. Our Charlotte show was in the beginning of March. It was like the first live show that we had done, like a week after Scandival had broken, and so it was like Scandival had like was like it was almost like as fresh as it could be in
Yeah.
everyone's
Yeah.
minds, and it just was so exciting. Just I remember walking to that theater and like everyone, like the amount of like rage, like joyful rage because we were all in it together, like angry at Tom Sandoval, and Ronnie did this gag where he had bought us these lightning bolt necklaces and he presented it to me on stage. I just remember the theater just like roaring. I just felt like it was this great thing where we all came together and we were so angry, you know?
Yeah, because Bravo I feel like Bravo fandom, all of us who are fans of Bravo, it's built on anger. It's built on
Hmm.
being offended because housewives are about being offended. Like
Yeah.
literally, that's what they're built on is their foundation is not being invited somewhere and it ruining the season, you know?
It's a love to hate. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like in comments, I remember back in my blogging days when Housewives first came out, thinking, "What is this stupid show?" I didn't watch it, but I would notice the comments on the threads would go into the hundreds of comments, and I would
Mm.
read the comments, saying like, "Did the recapper say something offensive? Like, what is going on in this comment room?" And it was just like, "Well, she should have invited her, and the fact that she didn't invite her to that party just shows what a classist bitch she is." And I was like, "They're fighting over a tea party." What
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
this? And then, of course, now I totally get it. So to
Yeah.
have a whole room of people to be to have that like righteous anger that's so justifiable against somebody that deserves every bit that they're getting was just, it's hard to explain. It
Felt
was
good.
probably
Yeah.
like church to some people. It was like
Yeah.
our version of a revival, you
It
know?
also
Hmm.
was like really fun to be out there touring and like sort of like like being in our community, our like Bravo community, like while this super zeitgeisty thing was happening. And it's really rare that Bravo is like leading the charge zeitgeist wise. Like there have definitely been big scandals, but this is, I think, by far the biggest one that I can remember. Like so big that it really transcended out of Bravo. It was like it's getting such mainstream press to the point where it, like Vanderpump Rules now has an Emmy nomination, and the like to sort of being able to kind of really be able to step into that energy was really, really fun. Like I enjoyed how excited people were to like want to like talk shit about Vanderpump Rules. You know, it was like really fun. Like, because it got to a point where when we were previously doing our live shows, if we had said like, oh, and so Thursday night we're going to be doing Vanderpump Rules, people were like, oh, does it have to be Vanderpump Rules? Can it be like this show? And now people are like, give us Vanderpump Rules. Like, we want to have Vanderpump Rules. And like, it was really fun to be just like, have those recaps be like fun and exciting again.
Well, yeah, and I feel like I know you guys are not into going to BravoCon, but when you go to BravoCon, and I went last year, and I was only there that one day for a few events, but it is sort of that like shared love of something. It's really fun. It's really fun to see people that like when they come to your show, or if they go to like a bitch fest show or something, and people put on their outfits and they put on their funny merch and all that. It's really fun, and the people at BravoCon and some people in there like full glam. I'm talking like heels and glitter. I'm like, we're in like a concrete floor in this convention hall. Like, you're just going to get old real quick. But like, I saw this one guy who was like, the Real House husband is something. And on the back is like, my wife made me wear this shirt. And he's just like holding all the purses like that guy. I was like, that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We know that guy very, very well.
Guy's like
it's like a no judgment zone, like, because we're all there, because we all love Bravo. We don't have to qualify it. We don't have to say it's our guilty pleasure. We don't have to like do any of the things that it feels like we have to do when we go out to the real world. We're just with our people, and we can just like love on this thing that we all love on.
It's like when people say, when I say I'm a podcaster, and I quickly go, yeah, I cover reality TV. And sometimes like documentaries, like I throw that in there, like that's going to make it more highbrow. People are going to think less, you know what I mean? Like we do documentaries too. Sometimes.
It does, doesn't it? Don't you feel like you immediately get more respect once you say documentary?
Yeah, because people are like, oh, really? And then I will tell you that I was in with my husband on a work trip a couple of months ago, and I was showing this girl on my phone, like a photo of my son's like prom or something. And I was like, wait, hold on, let me find it. I will show you a picture of what the girls dress now, like when they go to prom, the teenagers, what they wear, the tiny little dresses and stuff.
I have two nieces. I almost didn't let them out. And the guys with their stupid hair, but go ahead. We'll talk about the stupid hair after.
I got one of those right over there in this room next to me. And and I was talking about the dresses. Like, let me show you these girls' dresses. Like, they're this big, and look at these girls and their bodies. And I was like in taffeta, like at my prom, and I was showing her. And when I was showing her, a picture popped up, and I think it was just something from BravoCon. No, you know what it was? It was a picture of Raquel. It was a picture of Raquel. And so I had clipped that to put on our Patreon for something I was doing, like the photo to go along with the episode. And she goes, why do you have a picture of that girl from Vanderpump on your phone? And I go, oh, I clipped it off the internet because I go, I'm a podcaster. And she goes, oh, what do you talk about? So I told her, and she was like, sit down. We've got to talk. And she wanted to talk about Bravo for like 20 minutes. She's like, I don't have any friends that watch this stuff. My husband's not interested. Let's talk about the scandal. And she really wanted to talk about it. So I was like, okay, girl. So we sat down, and later my husband's like, there really are a lot of you out there. I was like, yes,
there are a ton
out there. Yes.
Yeah. And I have to say, like, I think it's really cool that Vanderpump Rules got an Emmy nomination. But there's also like one thing that I've had a chip on my shoulder about is that I feel like a lot of the people who vote for reality TV and the Emmys, a lot of people who are in the Academy are not like reality TV watchers. And so that's always like stuff like, Deadliest Catch gets nominated in categories like this. Things where like we know these shows are so good. And it's like, okay, so now Vanderpump Rules has transcended and landed on people's radars. And they're like, oh, this is a good show. We should nominate it. And it's kind of I'm like, I'm happy you nominated it. But like it's, aside from the past like 3 seasons, it's always been good. So many of these shows have been so good, but you've always had like a snobbery about like being willing to even consider Bravo shows to get something like an Emmy.
Yeah. Yes.
Rant.
I know, it's sort of like we knew the band before the band was cool, kind of a thing, And you don't get to come in and talk about the band because it's my band. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Hell
I
yeah.
heard Andy say on his radio show this morning with John Hill, he was talking and he said that a lot of people now that are on SAG-AFTRA on strike, of course, that many people that have said before, watch what happens live, not a fit. He's like, a lot of those people are coming back because they don't have anything else to do. So they're like, sure, we'd love to come on your show. And we're like, now we get
That's
to
funny.
say, not a fit, not a
Ooh.
fit.
Not a
Yeah.
fit.
Not a
Yeah.
fit.
Sorry. You're just not a real good fit for us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was going to ask you
sorry.
guys.
We're gonna put someone from Real Girlfriends in Paris on. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Gwyneth Paltrow, not a fit.
Yeah.
Speaking of Watch What Happens Live, last night they was Erika Jane and Jackie Hoffman. I was trying to remember her last name. Jackie Hoffman. She's so funny.
Yeah, she
And
is funny. I love her.
she, every few minutes, she would just bust out into, how many fucks do I give? She would just bust into it. And Erika was like, thought it was hilarious. Erika looks great. She's like, looks great. And she said, Andy asked her, like, how come you're so thin? And she says, oh, I just, I cured it through hormones. I had menopause and I cured it through hormones. And Jackie Hoffman goes, never heard of anybody getting thinner during menopause. And Erika goes, well, I did, honey. I did it through hormones. And Andy's like, you didn't do it through Ozempic? And she was like, no, it was through hormones. And I was like, okay, well, great. She went to a doctor. They gave her some hormones. She looked amazing. She was very light and airy. She was
good.
Yeah, she was a total delight, I might even say.
She knows that's always how she starts off a season. She comes in with that, oh, hey, it's me, girls. I'd love to have a drink. I just love to see you, girls. And then a few episodes later, she's like, fuck that bitch. I ain't never done a thing to that bitch. She knows how to fake it. And also, she's being nice because she's got to sell those tickets at the House of Blues for that Erika Jane show. What is that going to be?
She mentioned it a couple of times. It's called Bet on Blonde. And Andy was like, so.
Hasn't that already been used? Surely that's been used.
Surely.
But go ahead.
It's a 90-minute show.
All right.
Because Andy was like, really? 90 minutes? And she said, yeah. She said 90 minutes. She does some of her songs. She does some covers. She's like, it's a fun thing. She's like, it's going to be great. And Andy basically was like, yeah, last year you had a stink on you and nobody would have booked you. I mean, basically. And she was like, that's right. She was like, but, I'm so happy House of Blues is betting on blonde.
She's like, thank you, Scandival. Thank you, Scandival. Taking the stink off of me, putting it on Tom Sandoval.
Isn't she banging that billionaire that looks like Rush Limbaugh that owns the hotel that House of Blues is in?
Excuse me, his name is the Golden Bachelor. Thank you very much.
No, that guy's, I've seen a picture of that guy. That guy, the news on him was like, yeah, he got arrested last year for like shooting a pillow in his penthouse. And it was like, it was an accident. And it was like, his wife was there. It's not great.
Yeah,
if all that's true. But hey, Erika, you do you. And she says she talks to Tom sometimes, and sometimes he's with it, and sometimes he's not.
Oh God, she's still full of it. I saw something she was doing a few weeks ago that was like, Erika Jane spends time with the victims of her husband's crimes.
Oh yeah,
and then it's all the people from that Hulu documentary basically hugging Erika. I was like, oh come on, you guys fold like cheap chairs. My God, just
but I mean, this is what she should have done a year ago.
Yeah,
like she had a very clear path to how to fix her image, and I don't know why she waited so long, but now she's
people
doing
are
it.
Suckers, man. They fall for it every single time. I'm telling you. Well, I'm not falling for it. So.
I fell for it. I thought she looked great. I was like, look at her hair. She looks amazing. I fell for it.
Well, she always.
I fall for shit all the time.
She's stunningly gorgeous.
Yeah, she is.
It's not that. I'm not looking at her looks. I'm looking at her heart. Okay, that's what I'm concentrating on.
I'm shallow. So, yeah.
Like, she's pretty, so she wins.
So she's pretty and she's skinny now, so I love her. So, all right, let me ask you guys your thoughts on Family Karma, because Family Karma is a show that we did cover on the podcast. All 3 seasons we've covered, or 4 seasons. All the seasons we've covered, every bit, cover to cover, loved it. And very... because they haven't made an announcement if it's coming back. They made all these other announcements, but not Family Karma. And I know that you guys never like necessarily cover it because you're like, it's so like nice that there's not much to cover because there's not that funny because everyone's nice. But you guys, if it doesn't return, don't you think that's sort of like, I don't know. I think
I
just
feel like
give
it
us something
will
nice.
return. I
Give
think
us
it will
something
return. I
nice.
mean, isn't Brian Benny going to be on Winter House? I think
Yeah.
it'll return. They're probably just like figuring some stuff out. I mean, it is a great show. Like I really genuinely enjoy it. I think I always think the aunties are just so great, and I wish the show
Yeah.
would focus on them more than the kids because the kids are like not always the most interesting. But it is. I think actually, if it focused on the aunties more, like maybe there'd be easier ways in for us to like find the funny in it. But like, it's already kind of like a light, funny show, and it's like it's
Yeah.
really hard to make jokes on a show that's already being jokey. So it's like,
Yes.
what are you supposed to be like? Oh, look, like the parents are laughing at their kids, and that was funny for us.
No, I agree. And the aunties is what's interesting about the kids versus the aunties is the aunties aren't so aware of reality television and the kids are. The kids
Mm-hmm.
being anywhere from, 25 to 40, they seem to be more aware of like keeping their what's going on under wraps and stuff where the aunties are just tell it all. So I think that's
Mm-hmm.
why we like them more because they're more like our housewives. They're more,
Also,
just
honestly,
say whatever.
Anisha was always like my favorite, and I always
Hmm.
thought she was like really funny. And her not being on this last season as much, I actually felt her absence a lot, and I felt like the
Yeah.
show kind of was actually. I didn't think the third season was great. Like I loved seeing, the initial wedding and everything, and everything with like Nicholas and Amrit's parents is always so lovely.
Yeah.
But I felt like I needed a little bit more from the show on this third season.
Well,
Mm.
also, just to correct, I mean, this year they were very aware of the cameras, the aunties. They had all this
That's right. They had the
like
fight Dharma.
anti-drama, and
Yeah.
they were like being bitchy to each other and refusing to speak to each other. Like they were getting very like Bravo-y, which I liked. And
Yeah.
the kids were getting pretty sloppy this season too. Amrit was pretty that was pretty bad. Like going to spread the rumors about Monica's boyfriend cheating and all
Oh
that
my
stuff. So
gosh.
there
You give
actually
those guys
was
you
like
give those guys a bottomless brunch and they'll spill it all.
yes.
Yeah.
And so
Mm.
this season was more drama packed. I mean, I like the show.
We do
Sometimes
too.
sometimes stuff is really fun to watch and sometimes it's really fun to recap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Some
yeah.
of the best
Not everything works
recaps,
as a recap. Yeah.
some of the most fun things to recap are some of the dumbest shows where nothing happens. I mean,
Oh,
Real Girlfriends in Paris, everyone hated that show. We loved
this,
that show. Like for us, it was just fun to recap. I don't know why.
Yeah,
what,
because
I don't know.
they were all kind of like stupid, and they were like they always had these like one girl. She's like, my big dream is I want to create a slip dress, and like you're watching her create a slip dress, and this other girl literally has an internship at Sonia Raquel, an established
mm,
designer, and she's like, I just want to put up draperies, and like her whole arc is being able to put up draperies, and it was so stupid, and I hope they just were so hilariously like involved in what they were doing, and they just really cared so much. It was so important to them that it's like it's fun because we can take the piss out of that. But like Family Karma, there's actually not that much to take the piss out of. You just sort of smile and watch and are enthralled by these lovely people.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope it comes back. I really
Me
do.
too.
You guys are covering Crappie Lake, of course.
Yes.
Of course.
Now there's one that like is like a sitcom, but somehow it's fun to recap. I think it's just
Yeah.
because it's Luann and Sonia, and we know that we're not going to get them on Housewives anymore. So
Mm.
it's just fun to make cabaret jokes,
Yeah.
cabaret and slutty Sonia jokes.
There's
Did you?
just enough delusion in there that we can find a way in because it's hard because it's like I thought we weren't going to be able to. I was like, I'm sure the show will be fun, but it's all going to be kind of very stagey and
Yeah.
like played for laughs. It's going to be hard for us to like make jokes about
And
it, but
is.
it is.
It
It's
is.
still
Yeah.
funny. I still like
Yeah.
it. What do you think about it?
I like it because again, it's just something to have on and you don't have to like pay too close attention because you're not going to miss anything. It's
Yeah.
just somebody's going to do something dumb and fall and then they're going to save the day with something this week. And I have enjoyed it and I think that when I've really tried to think of who else it could work with, like if they put that similar, vibe with another duo, the only duo you have to be willing to like be athletic and get dirty. And a lot of like Ramona would never,
Right.
right? But
Dorinda would.
Dorinda, maybe, but then she would
Mhm.
offend everybody. She would get drunk. And then what about, I was thinking it would work with freaking Stephanie and Brandy from Dallas.
I could not deal. Well, first of all, it's supposed to
Not
be
expecting
super
that.
fancy people, so maybe Stephanie, but Brandy's remember Brandy's whole thing in season 1 was when Leanne was like, it's getting a little Plano in here. 'Cause she lives in Plano. So yeah, Brandy, no, I would
I think,
never watch Brandy on TV.
I bet
Ever.
Alexia from Miami, like
Yes.
maybe
Alexia and
Alexia
Marisol would
Marisol.
be funny. Yeah.
That would actually really work
Oh,
well.
It
Because
would be
that would
Alexia
be
would be
good.
hilarious because she would have all these things like, oh, well, you can't do that. Like, you can't have a motel like this. No, this is disgusting. No, we can't say this. We can't say here, Marisol. Absolutely not.
And they
Yes.
actually know what it's like to be filthy rich. I think that Sonia and Luann both know, kind of, like they've had experience. They've been on vacation in that world, but
Mhm.
to act like the thing that cracks me up about this, I've said it a million times on our show, so sorry, but one thing that cracks me up on that show is that it's supposed to be like Paris and Nikki, these rich kids who know nothing of what it's like to be poor, whereas this
Yeah.
show, they do know what it's like. They both come from that kind of background, and now they're slowly sliding back to that level.
Yeah,
And it's kind of funny watching them kind of decline, like reintegrate back into that kind of a life.
I guess my thought of Stephanie and Brandy is not because I want to see them on TV, but it's more like it would have to be a duo that are friends that could also like be wacky and not be afraid to get dirty.
Yeah, for sure
Yeah.
they have that. Yeah, for sure they
I
have
don't know
that.
if Marisol and Alexia would be willing to
I
Well,
don't
but
think
I
that
think
fish
that
for
would be funny,
catfish with their
though.
hands.
They would be, I think they would, but I just feel like they would have a lot of like very funny commentary back and forth with each other about everything.
Yeah.
Like just like little comments and like little bickering on the sides in a way that Luann and Sonia do. I think the biggest like revelation for me with this show, the biggest revelation is
Mhm.
that it's like Sonia and Luann's banter and relationship is like so pure and so good. Like they really have a chemistry, and the way they relate to people, the way they talk to people is like surprisingly effective. And so I think the show works in that way.
Yeah. And I
You need
love
to
how
get
the
people who have
mayor,
that
they're just
chemistry.
like, yeah, they're just like, where's the mayor? Mr. Mayor? Where's the mayor? And every
Yeah.
time they go see the mayor, they
Fred.
literally put on ball gowns. I'm like, he's in a t-shirt that says like Benton, Illinois on it. And you guys show up in like full sparkles. Like, well, we have to look our best. It's like, really?
Yeah, that's
Really?
pretty.
I think the thing with that car is that when they gave them that car that didn't have the air, they thought this will be a shtick. And I think that they were like, this is where we draw the line.
Yeah. No
Like, we're
more.
not going to be divas, but we're not going to do this if the car does not have air conditioning. And so they were like,
Yeah, and I team them too. And
Me
also, it's
too.
more fun to watch them drive this giant truck around.
Mhm.
And Sonia with her really thick glasses trying to read instructions all the time. And their whole like, will we or will we not go to Dairy Queen? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm into
I
that
love the
whole
Dairy Queen bit.
side plot. I think that's, oh my God. And the shopping at Sue's, that sad store Sue's that's charging $100 and something for outfits. And every wig was a Meemaw wig. I mean,
They loved it. They loved it. Yeah. I mean, speaking of your TikTok, Ronnie, they looked like one of your TikTok characters.
Nancy. Yeah.
Is it Cooking with Nancy that you're doing?
Sure is.
Okay.
If
Yeah.
you ever need to know anything, just give me a call.
I get so sucked into those TikTok cooking videos. I
do
get
too.
so sucked in. I'm like, okay, well, now I've started. Okay, you're going to put that dry pasta right on top of that meat. Okay. Now what's going to happen?
Oh, the disgusting
I made
ones.
one of making like a cashew cookie. I was like, this will be good on TikTok because like it's gonna end with like this cookie with this melty gooey center. I did this whole video. It got 500 views, stalled out. I did another video of something stupid. It's like at 40,000 views. That a video that took 8 seconds versus one that took 90 minutes. I was like, I give up.
Yeah.
I give up.
Well, I don't understand the TikTok, but like for this, like I know that I'll have video of this, so I know how to like put it on my computer and then clip it, and then I can make a TikTok. But we have a social media girl that helps us, and every so often she's like, "This will be funny as a reel. That would be funny as a reel." I was like, "Okay, how do I do that? How do I do that?" But you figured it out, Ronnie. You've got the alter ego, and you're
Yeah. It's got the filter.
Sometimes I don't know that I've figured it out. Like a ton of people don't watch them, but I don't care. It's fun. You know, I just do like fun little skits and stuff for myself.
It's funny. It's funny to me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I did one last week that was like a parody one of like those things, like some things you don't know. So I did one of like, here's some fun facts about croissants. And so like the first 2 facts are like serious, and then everything after that like is literal fiction. But it's always funny to me the people who like clearly just watch the first 2 seconds are like, oh, that was nice. Next. And they're like, love this. So informative. And I'm like, you guys, I'm literally talking about aliens in this. Like, it has nothing to do with croissants.
You're like, oh, maybe I should make it shorter next time to keep their attention.
Yeah, they didn't get to the joke part yet.
They didn't get to the
I know,
joke.
because I was reading stuff like, how do you get people to watch your TikToks? And they're like, oh, it's all engagement, and so people have to watch like 90% of your thing or whatever the percentage is. I'm
Yeah.
talking out of my ass, but it's like they have to watch a majority of whatever you post. And so people were commenting, so 15-second TikToks, and they're like, those work great, because people will see, they'll at least wait to see what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't care.
I get really
Mine,
into neighborhood battles. I get really into those stories where it's like story time, and then somebody tells about their neighbor being horrible and calling the police on them, and, for their kids being in their own yard. And it's like, here's how come our neighbors called the police on us 400 times, and it's like, and I find those hilarious. It's just like there's a whole Karen TikTok about the Karens. I enjoy those as well. I find
those
them
are
hilarious.
great. Yeah,
There's
those are
TikTok
really
for
good.
everyone.
I've watched a lot of those. Crazy Karens is a good Instagram if you like.
There's a
like
TikTok
that.
for everyone. That's
Golden
Ben.
Bachelor TikTok.
Yeah. Ben, I think you nailed it. And I don't let myself look at TikTok very often, because if I do, like, I go into a hole and it's like an hour later and I'm like,
Everybody does.
Yeah,
That's the magic of it, And I wasn't on there forever. I just like started making stuff on there, but I had it because my niece had it. I have nieces, so of course they have it. They would come to my house, and I bought them a ring light so that they could do their like dances, and they use my house like all different little sets they make out of everything. And so I had it just to watch their stuff, and I don't even follow anybody, or at that time I didn't, and I would just turn it on and literally just crack up in my house for hours. I mean, the shit people do. I just love it.
Yes.
And I know that we sound like such old people, and I don't even care.
I don't care.
Discover the
Old
world
talk,
at your own pace.
This is on this podcast. When we start talking like this, we call it old ladies and their corns. It's like when we start talking about our corns and like your bunion and like, oh, I hurt my back and I had to take the Doan's pill powder. Yeah,
I don't even care. I mean, I'm just embracing it, because what else are we going to do? I mean, when the housewives do end, what the hell else are we going to do? I'm never waiting tables again. I'll tell you that goddamn much right now. So it's going to be talking about old people shit, It's like my knees hurt when it's raining outside. That's what's
But I tell you, Ronnie, like your experience being a cater waiter, you talk about it quite a bit on the podcast. And I remember when Heather Dubrow had that big party, remember last season when Terry came down in his leather coat and was like,
oh, God.
And she's like, everybody has to leave. And then they didn't leave and whatever. And allegedly she pushed a producer and she didn't. And then they took all that.
Oh, yes, she
did. The Kobe beef, whatever, it was time to eat. And it was like thousands and thousands of dollars worth of Nobu, and they threw it away. And you were saying on you guys' podcast, whenever you recapped it, you were like, no. All those cater waiters took that home. They ate well for weeks.
They wasted it. No, they didn't. Those cater waiters were having huge parties.
Yes. Can you imagine? Nobu was a character on Real Housewives of OC. I don't know if it was this week or last week. I don't think I saw this week. Somebody said something about Vicky, and I was like, I haven't seen Vicky, so obviously I'm not caught up.
This week was good.
That's
this
the
week
one
was
after.
Good. Yeah.
So I must be one behind. So this season, so that merges into Real Housewives of OC, because I'm watching it, but again, I like lightly watching it. I am enjoying Emily. I'm enjoying current Emily, and I'm in real life Emily and all her exercise posting, and I'm enjoying Emily on the show. And Tamara, I know that you guys refer to her as a possum on top of a trash can.
Yes. Affectionately.
She's an awful human being, but she does bring life to the show. I mean, I got to give credit where credit is due. And Heather Dubrow, I think, is also awful. And I think she brings a ton of life to the show too. So, I think that show's great this season. And Emily, we've given Emily shit. I mean, since the second she stepped onto the scene, I think Emily's problem is her life.
Yeah. She needs to be a friend of.
To watch. Her husband is painful to watch. Her kids are like fine, but I don't want to watch kids, and her whole my mom had a job. I was like, really? That's your stop? Shut up. And so I don't like any of that part about Emily, but I think she's so good. I love her calling out the cast. I love her in the group scenes.
Yeah,
that stuff is great.
She's really she's made a good case for why she should be a in heavy rotation friend of, sort of like Adriana on Miami. Adriana is basically a cast member, but she's friend of, and I think that Bravo needs to be okay with that, like having someone who, like, we really only see them in group scenes, because Emily just doesn't have enough interesting stuff going on with her family to warrant us having to stop a really good episode and watch her wander through a pumpkin patch and cry because Shane was like snarky to her. And so, like, like, she's great. She's been great with the group scene. She's been really good about stirring the pot and everything. But and so I like her. I'm like with you. I'm with Ronnie, obviously. Like, I think that Emily does really good work in most of her scenes, but I think let's make her a friend of, and I mean that not in a like she sucks, make her friend of. Like, let's like play to her strengths. Let's make this a lean, mean OC machine.
And so do you feel the same way about Gina?
Fire Gina. Gina
I think
sucks.
Gina's done.
Gina sucks as a person. Gina sucks as a housewife. Gina sucks just being on TV in general. Get her out of here. Are you
She's not the
fucking
Bravo
kidding me
brand.
with this lady? I can't. And it's not even that she's poor or anything like that. I just
It's not that she's using food stamps on a show about luxury.
It's not, because it is the OC, and the OC has always been a little more lower or a little lower rent than the other, right?
Yes.
But it's not even that. She's just like an uninteresting person.
Yeah.
I don't like any of her viewpoints. I think she tries to do the housewife thing of like stirring the pot, but she's just mean. She's a bad friend.
She is.
Everyone who's tried to be nice to her, she's stabbed in the back for literally no reason. Like, I just don't like the lady. Just get rid of her. And her fake accent, like her accent went from being like, I'm from Long Island, to now it's like, oh, I'm from Long Island. I was like, nobody talks like that. You're putting 3 syllables into 1 syllable words, Gina. Get the hell off my TV. You're wasting my damn time. I cannot watch one more person thrift.
Yeah, she is Gina has moments. She has moments, but I think by and large, I think you have some really good like cast members and personalities on there right now. And I just feel like Gina is not necessarily the strong point right now. I don't think they need her. I think that you know what I say? I say you have as a central cast, you've got Shannon, Tamra, Heather, Jen. I think Jen's doing actually a surprisingly good job. And then I guess you need a 5th person. I don't know who the 5th person is, but then I think as friend ofs, you have circulating around, you have Taylor, because I don't think Taylor would be good as a main, but I think she's really good as what she's doing right now. You have Emily as a very frequent friend of, and honestly, I think Vicky works very well as a friend of. I think she comes in, she adds her chaos, she does her Vicky thing. Like, I enjoyed the season. Was it Bronwyn's first season when Vicky was her first season as a friend of? I thought Vicky was really good as a friend of that season. And so I say have like 3 really strong friend ofs right there, like Miami style. And I don't know who the 5th Real Housewife. Bring Lynn Curtin back. Just do it.
Well, that would be funny. Well, yeah, I think that Gina, I've been confused by her from day one. I've always been confused by her because I'm like, she's on the wrong show if she's supposed to be on TV at all.
Yeah.
And
yes.
And I think that her getting her real estate license is a good call. She might need that to fall back.
Yeah, it's a good next step.
Yeah. I don't know. I really don't ever know about casting because I'm always wrong. Tamra made me so crazy for years. And I think that I'll stand by what I said as far as her trying too hard to make things happen, like the self-producing and all of that she does. It was getting to be too much. And she was just getting to be so vile and so mean and just so nasty that it wasn't fun anymore. But now she's still being vile and nasty and mean and self-producing. Like, she's even doing it more than before, but she's got so much more fun. She's gotten more fun about it, I guess. Like, maybe there's like a level of like stress that's been lifted off of her where she's actually just enjoying it now. And it's more fun to laugh at her just being a complete asshole to people, because then she just turns it right around and goes, I'm so sorry. It's because Cut Fitness closed. And then she still turns right around and stabs him in the back again in the same episode.
Oh, Cut Fitness. Oh my God. Well, what do you guys think about if Heather Dubrow transfers over to Beverly Hills? We have
I don't
the
think it's going to
No,
happen. It's not
they
going to
won't do
happen. I
that.
don't think it's a. I don't think it. I don't think it's a culture match. I think it's Beverly Hills. First of all, if you really look at the cast of Beverly Hills, these are people who, by and large, in a weird way, have been like bonded together from the O.J. Simpson trial. Like I really feel like that's in
Mm,
some ways the foundation of this group, and then the people who
wow.
just keep added on to it. If
What?
you really look at it,
Because
starting to get dark
Wow.
there. But if you think
Wow.
about it, like the Kyle Richards, Chris Kardashian, I know Chris is not on it, but like there's a circle. There's a circle in Los
Mhm.
Angeles that is Kyle Richards, you got the Kardashians, you got David Foster, all these people, they're all connected, they're all incestuous, and they all sort of, it was like a circle that I think OJ and Nicole Brown Simpson were sort of in a weird way. And so they all have this like this thing, and Heather's just not of that world. These are people who are like from Los Angeles, raised there, like have all these, it's just a different thing. Heather, Orange, I think we also need the contrast of her in Orange County, that she is this sort of like self anointed fancy. Well, she didn't call herself fancy pants, but she is like the fancy one. I think you need that as a
Yeah.
good counterpoint to like the Tamaras, you know?
Yeah. But if they don't have a place in OC, then, how's she going to be on it? I mean, if they're just going to now live in Beverly Hills, then she's off the show. I mean,
I think they're
you
going to
know,
keep a place in OC. I think he has a practice or something there, but
yeah, I think he works there. Yeah.
I think they're counting on this being Beverly Hills. Maybe they'll try it. Who knows? Because it looks like Beverly Hills is not going to have the most exciting season. I mean,
Yeah.
every
Disagree.
Really?
Disagree. Well,
really.
listen, just with the Kyle thing, we're going to be
Well,
watching
but
it like
that's
the Scandal
over.
Ball.
They
We're
were
going to be
done filming though.
but we're going to watch for the Easter eggs.
No
Don't
one
you
gives a
think?
shit
I don't
about
think we
Kyle.
will.
First of all, I don't believe for 1 second that Kyle is having some lesbian relationship with this lady. I don't believe that Kyle cheated on Maurizio. I believe that Maurizio probably got cheating on Kyle or something along those lines,
Mhm.
or sending dick pics or something like that. I would believe that. And no one's going to be surprised. And Kyle's just not that interesting. Okay. Kyle does not have main character energy, and she struggled with it her whole time on Beverly Hills. I'm not saying fire Kyle. I think Kyle serves her purpose. No one cares about Kyle. I felt so sorry for Kyle when she tried to copy the woman she spent all those years trying to get fired. She literally tried to lift a storyline from Vanderpump Rules right after filming. She got filming back up. Nothing's gonna happen with this story. I'm telling you, this season's gonna suck. And now they're saying that Kyle is doing a documentary on this Morgan chick. Kyle
Mhm.
is not in love. She's obsessed with famous people and wants to be close to them so badly. And that's why she can never truly be engaging, because she's
Yep.
just not charismatic enough to be that interesting herself.
But she's obsessed with famous people, but this Morgan Wade, no one had ever heard of her. I mean, I guess if you're very into country music, but,
Well,
even
people
if
in
you're
the
very
country
into
music are, you
yeah,
know?
well, right, but it's not like you said Blake Shelton or like Kenny Chesney or Reba McEntire, like a huge country name. Like
That's true.
I'd
But
never heard of this girl.
it's someone that Kyle considers very famous, and she knows
Okay.
that a lot of people consider very famous, and that is giving Kyle the time of day. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I mean, look how Kyle still brags about literally everybody she's ever met. That's famous,
What
you
to
know?
me is interesting about this Kyle thing with this Morgan Wade is not that it could be that Kyle's a late in life lesbian. It's more that it's the age difference. It's someone that's her daughter's age to me, younger than actually. So that to me is like the more
I'm not sure
shocking part.
I'm not sure I'm looking to Kyle Richards and her family to have like many concerns about these sort of things. I mean, have you really looked at like the stories of Kyle and Kim and Big Kathy and Little
Oh yeah.
Kathy? I mean,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
like dating someone who's like 20 years younger than her is like the least of the wild things that have come out of that family.
Well, that's true. Well, I am interested in Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
I'm
I am
interested.
I'm hoping
I
that this I'm
I
hoping that
love
this
it.
does save the season, because prior to any of this coming out, Garcelle did an interview where she's like, I think viewers are gonna be very happy because this is just like a kinder season. It's just like about people getting along. It's not about like viciousness or whatever. And we're all like, boo, boring.
Also, I have
Uh,
to say, I think that the real person who's getting cheated on here in this relationship is Teddy. Teddy is the one who was best friends. She had access to all this stuff. And now look at Kyle walking like close with this Morgan Wade girl, telling her everything, talking about how she's like changed her life. Her friendship has changed her life. And then Teddy has a podcast and can't even talk about it. And does, or how much does she even know? I have a feeling Kyle just dumped Teddy's ass. So I think if anybody's cheated on here, it's Teddy. But yeah, I think Beverly Hills, I haven't heard anything. Now I know this. Oh, I'm sorry. I know I'm rambling. I'm so ADD when it comes to this stuff.
It's
but
okay.
I also have to say, while I'm thinking about it, I just interrupted myself and I forgot what I was going to say. Oh my God. What's
Teddy? We were talking about Teddy. We were talking about Teddy's being cheated on, and Teddy has a podcast and she can't talk about it.
Yes, but it's like the season's going to be boring.
Yes. Yeah.
Something I was right about. That's what it is.
Oh, okay.
Years ago, when all of that Vanderpump Puppygate shit was coming out, I said every episode, I know who did this Puppygate thing. Her name is Lisa fucking Rinna. I know who leaked it. It's obviously Lisa Rinna because she was calling whoever was giving the quotes made it sound exactly like Lisa Vanderpump. It's like, well, I was sitting under my chandeliers with my swans when I heard from a private source. It was obviously Lisa Rinna. And everybody's like, no, it's not Lisa Rinna. Guess who does not have any leaks from Beverly Hills? Beverly Hills. Guess why? Because Lisa Rinna's not there. I was correct. That
was a journey. That was a journey. That was a journey that we just went on with you, Ronnie.
I'm so sorry. I know. I feel like I'm still a drug addict, and I'm not. But it hurts your brains forever. Remember that, kids. Lisa Rinna is the villain.
Yes, yeah. I agree.
I loved Rinna when she came on. I thought for the first like several seasons, even though she could be like frustrating, I loved the way she would stir the pot because she just came in as this person who was more famous really than a lot of the people on the cast, really all of them. She walks in, she starts stirring shit up because she had that attitude of like, whatever, this is like a side job. Like I'm like famous outside of that. When she first showed up on the show, it was like, oh my God, I can't believe they got Lisa Rinna. At least that's how I felt. Yeah. And then she stirred the pot and it was funny. She didn't care. She would literally say like, were people doing coke in your bathroom? Like that was like so ballsy. I loved it. But she got sucked into the drama and then she sort of started just like trying to be like Erika and then like trying to be like Dorit. And she just sort of like became like sadder and sadder. And that really bummed me out. And, she did become the villain. She really did.
Yeah, totally. Totally. I was at that thing at BravoCon when they came out and she got booed. We went to the thing before that with Andy was talking to Hoda and Savannah, I guess. And then we just stayed in our seats. And so the next panel was the Beverly Hills ladies. So we're like, well, we're just going to sit right here. And that's when like the stampede happened, but we were already in seats, so we didn't get stampeded. But when she came out, everybody booed and she was like, fuck you. And like, I was like, oh my God, what is happening here? I was like, well, we don't need to boo people, but also I secretly loved it.
But that's BravoCon. Everybody was being booed and hissed and then cheered. And it was like an old fashioned Western show, boo the villain and.
Yeah, boo the villain. Yeah.
Speaking of villains, I have to say, the Instagram account, The Bravo Life, they put up something that went like semi-viral, which I thought was very funny. I don't know if I necessarily agree with it, but it did really highlight how much of a failure she was. But they wrote about Diana Jenkins, and they said, fired after one season, no Watch What Happens Live appearances, one of the most hated housewives, didn't physically show up to the reunion. First housewife Andy Cohen has never actually met. Disastrous social media presence. Husband campier than a Christmas tree. Low-key Diana is iconic, to be honest. Because her failure is so like above and beyond really maybe any other housewives failure. It is kind of iconic.
She probably would have wanted to stay on, but she got accused of, several things and she didn't like it. So she was like, no, I'm leaving now.
She really fucked up her own show because she would have been one of those like awful people that I would have loved. I've been like, oh, she's so awful. I loved her because she had the accent and she was totally privileged and totally delusional about everything and so rich. She was like, she could have been fabulous and wonderful, but she was just like an awful, craven person who just like was terrible.
Oh my gosh. Well, okay. So I just saw also something that earlier today, I saw a post from Luann that said that RHONY Legacy Ultimate Girls Trip is coming out in December.
It's a fish. I saw it on the Bravo account right before we started recording now. So Bravo itself is saying that.
Here's
Bravo said it
something. Can I
too.
just say this has nothing to do? I mean, this isn't even fair to like complain about this. Like everything's all about me. Like I get it. Okay, I'm a narcissist. But why would they do this to us? Fucking December? Are you kidding? Right between Thanksgiving and Christmas? How are we supposed to recap this shit? They're gonna put 4 out right before Christmas, and then they're gonna force us to work through Christmas and New Year's. Think about the little people, Bravo.
Yeah, the
Come on,
recappers.
January.
January, please.
Well, so do you assume between now and then they're going to be putting out the one with the Carolyn Manzo?
No, they said it. They
Brandy.
said Bravo said that they're going to put that one out in 2024. They switched the order of it.
Which is really cold to Brandy because Brandy has been saying this whole thing is so overblown and everybody's calling me a rapist and a sexual assaulter. And when you guys see what happens, everybody's on my side. You guys are going to see that I'm right in this, and this has all been blown out of proportion. They're like, okay, well, you can wait another year.
Yeah.
That's wild that they're putting them like out of order of that they filmed them, you know? I mean, the RHONY one must have been just like so quick and easy that they're like, yeah, I'll go ahead and put it out.
The RHONY one was probably like really good because those are women who have like proven cast chemistry. Like I honestly didn't really like the last girls trip. I felt like it was boring. It was boring. It was not cohesive. Like it had moments.
It was so sweaty. They were so sweaty. Everybody was so sweaty.
The energy was not right. The energy was not right. But I think that the RHONY one will have good energy. And Bravo, so in Bravo's post, they said, you know what, like to thank you all for all the goodwill you've sent us about Crappie Lake and RHONY, we're going to do this one first. And I do think that they're probably going to try to coast off a lot of the good vibes because the new RHONY has gotten a lot of people really love it. So they're probably just going to, you know, like just try to like ride that roller coaster. Yeah. They're getting good ratings, Ronnie? Oh, really?
Well, they need the ratings. I mean,
Jessel tanking.
Nothing's doing great. I mean, the Real Housewives of New York, it's like it did the first week, it did well. The second week, and then that second episode was really boring. So I can't imagine it did much better the third week. And then OC's not doing great. And then the Below Deck that they have on right now is a Below Deck that they started on Peacock. So that's not doing as well as some of the other Below Decks that are more established and stuff. So they need some, you know, they probably need a little fire lit.
Bringing me down.
Those ladies, you know. Well, you know, everything is peaks and valleys, you guys. It can't all be Sandoval all the time, you know.
But are those just like overnight numbers, or does that account for DVR viewing?
Well, the first week, no one really knows the Peacock numbers. It's hard to know Peacock numbers. Those aren't released the same way. But the first episode of New York, they did release the Peacock numbers because people were dissing it so bad, saying, oh, it failed because it tried to take over the original spot. And it's a failure at, I don't know how many it got, like, let's say 700,000. And that Bravo was like, well, actually, with Peacock numbers, it is 1.5 million. So it did really well. Who knows?
Well, so that leads us into RHONY, which I wanted to ask you guys about. So for you guys doing your impressions, so when you find out there's a new franchise coming, do you panic slightly? Because you're not going to have like a lot of time to get your impressions ready. Like you're going to see the first episode and you got to kind of hone it in quickly. So we've only seen 3 episodes of these ladies now. How do you feel about that impression wise?
I don't care. I mean, I just figure they come when they come. You know, these shows are on forever and they repeat themselves over and over. So usually we don't have, I don't think I had a Lisa Vanderpump impression for 2 years, 3 years. Dorinda, I didn't get until Dorinda's 3rd year. I think I got a good Dorinda. Like it just, I don't know.
They just kind of like,
sometimes they don't.
Yeah, you sort of have to sort of throw yourself into it and it just sort of, you know, you sort of just like land on what's like just funny for you. Cause like, sometimes impersonations, I feel like half the impersonations I do are not really accurate, but they kind of like make me chuckle. And especially if I can make Ronnie chuckle, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to do this. It'll be some wacky voice that's like vaguely like references the person I'm trying to impersonate.
I guess what's scarier is not really like a voice, like finding a wacky voice. It's like finding out what's funny about them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Ramona's a total, complete, crazy narcissist who can't listen to anybody else. You know, everybody has,
Yeah.
Sonia has like her slutty jokes that she likes to make all the time. And
Right.
Luann's like a cabaret star diva. You know, so they already have like established thing. Dorinda's a drunk. So like everybody has their
Yeah.
established like little log line joke that you can make about them. And this one, it's like, well, Jenna is like kind of awkward, but
Mhm.
like she worked at J. Crew, but then I mean she's gay, but then like we don't know yet. They haven't shown
Yeah.
their little piece of crazy yet, so that's nerve wracking because it's like, oh
Yeah.
my god, do they have it? But
Yeah.
I just remind myself the only normal people are the ones you don't know too well, as you've probably seen on bumper
Yeah.
stickers, and
Think
that's
about
just the
Kelly
damn
Ben
truth.
Simone.
Everyone's crazy.
Remember
Yeah.
Kelly Ben Simone when she came on the second season of RHONY? I was like, why did they cast this lady? She's sort of like boring and not. She's like whatever. She's just like a pretty lady, just sort of like walking around. And then by
Yeah.
the end of the season, when she was in this fight with Bethany, and Bethany's like, "You're up here, I'm down here," or whatever. Or I'm sorry, Kelly Ben Simone was like that. Like, I'm up here, you're down here. Like, we're like, oh my god, Kelly Ben Simone, she's crazy. Look at her. Look at the way she acts. So
Yeah.
sometimes people just like the crazy has to come out of their shells.
Well, I think that so we've got now did you notice this? Now, this I don't know if this would be something you know. So Cy has got this confessional look, which is like a blue jean looking bustier that looks like it's ill-fitting on the top. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
okay. And then when Erin was on Watch What Happens Live this week, she's wearing that same top.
Was she?
Yes.
Really? How
Yes. She's wearing that
weird.
Talk
same
about an
top.
influencer.
And she was influenced by Cy's ill-fitting bustier top. But
Yeah.
so we have
Well,
Cy
isn't there
who,
anyone over there? I mean, and here's some. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
yeah,
we've been talking about this week. Where are the gays? Are there no gays that work at Bravo anymore? Like, is there no one to say we just had this outfit
you
from
can't
someone
wear this.
else?
It's on because Cy's wearing
Right.
it in her confessional look. You
Who the
shouldn't wear
hell
it.
doesn't tell a real housewife
Yeah.
you're
I know. I
wearing a
noticed it right
duplicate?
away. I noticed it
Yeah.
right away because I was like, oh, that's the exact same top. She's
Well,
wearing it. She's
we're starting a new union for all the gay confessional writers. I don't know if you heard yet.
no, I haven't heard.
But it's called COC, and it's the Confessional Oratory Collective.
Okay.
Because the gays have been missing from the Real Housewives of New York confessional writing. Like, no one has good confessionals on New York.
None of those zingers. Yeah.
They don't have any good zingers. The gays have
Mm-mm.
left the network. And so everybody support COC.
Yeah, please. Cy needs a lot of help.
Cy, I did think it was interesting this week where we got her backstory where I thought it was a good housewife scene. And when Erin was like, I love to go to the dollar store. It's so like quaint and crazy to go to the dollar store. Like I'm so wacky. I go to the dollar store. I'm
Yeah.
just like Bethany going to TJ Maxx. And when Cy was like, it's not fun to go to the dollar store when like, you literally have to shop there, and then she explained her backstory, which I really liked. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
all right. And Bryn's kind of like, yeah, I grew up that way too. It's like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting somewhere.
That was an interesting backstory for Cy. Like, she definitely has overcome a lot, and like hearing how she snuck into college to like take classes, none of which were comedy classes. I thought that was really cool and interesting. Like, that's a cool backstory for sure.
And can you guys even look at Bryn without thinking about Mandy Moore? She looks just like Mandy Moore.
She does look a lot like Mandy Moore.
I'm enjoying Bryn than I think a lot of people. I guess she's controversial, but
she's a try hard. It seems like she's trying.
Hard. Yeah.
But you know what? Sometimes I just need the effort. Like, at least she is trying, though. Like some people are just kind of just taking pictures of themselves on the sidewalk. Okay, I'm gonna need a little more than that. I'm gonna need a little more than the Dollar Tree story. Okay, you're a house.
So Ronnie's not a fan of Cy.
I actually do like her. I think she's got a really good personality, and I think she probably will be good. But I think right now she's a little fake and bake, like a lot of them. I think they've got to be terrified. They're put in this weird position of taking over this show.
Yeah,
they've got to be so excited to be cast, but no one on these shows is like some star. They're all just kind of regular people being thrust into the spotlight suddenly, and it's got to be freaking terrifying. So it's going to take a while for them to crack their shells, but I'm really enjoying it so far. I think it's going to be good, and I do have faith that these people who cast the show, it's the same production company, right? I mean, they're going to cast.
I think so.
People.
I mean, I also wonder, do we think that any of them are also like unnerved by the fact that they're suddenly like thrown into a situation where they're just like friends with Jenna Lyons, and like Jenna Lyons is like a really big deal in
Yeah.
fashion, or at least in New York City, and like a lot of them work in the world of fashion and in those spaces, or adjacent to it, and suddenly it's like, oh, here's someone who's like really famous in this area, and guess what? So you guys just be friends now. So I wonder, are they like dually trying to impress the audience and Jenna? Which, by the way, I'm not opposed. If they are trying to impress Jenna, I'm not opposed to that, because that is sort of an interesting question. Like, what do you do when there's like someone who's like very famous and people are trying to like impress them? Like, that could be really fun to watch. But I don't know. It might be creating a weird chemistry with the cast.
Well, of all of them, the only one, I mean, I've heard of Uba because she is friends with Taylor Strecker, who I know. So that's how I've heard of Uba.
That's so funny.
Yeah. That's how I've heard of Uba, because Taylor was friendly with her. And I've seen Uba one time when I was in New York, and I was at the Polo Bar having dinner, and she was in there having dinner. And, when you're in there, all you're doing, at least I am, looking for famous people. And she was one. But literally, like, her Ralph Lauren spread was like, her lounging in a forest in plaid of some sort was like on the wall. And there she was eating,
Wow.
She's a Ralph Lauren model. And people were coming up. She was at the table with all these men. So I knew who she was. But Jenna Lyons, I 100% knew who she was as head of J. Crew for all those years, and then, made billions of dollars. And she's just so, to me, Jenna Lyons is so cool that you're like, there's a chip missing for you to be on this show, right? Like, because you certainly don't need it, right?
She literally had her own reality show. So
she
like,
did? I did not know.
Stylish with Jenna Lyons, available on Max. It was it came out in like 2020 or 2021 on HBO Max. So it's just there, and it's basically like, I think 5 to 7 episodes. It's like a quasi apprentice show where she's like, I have a bunch of candidates, and I need to hire someone, but it's never clear what she needs to hire them for.
It's like Bethany's show where she was trying to hire somebody.
It was.
Yes.
It was. Yeah. But like Bethany was like, I need like a vice president. Okay, so I'm gonna get a bunch of people. Huh? Okay, you get up here. Okay, I'm gonna yell at you from a balcony. But like, Jenna's is like
so hard to watch. What is that lady?
I watched every episode. I watched every episode.
Same. I watched every episode. But Jenna Lyons is sort of like, it's like this weird, like formless show where here's a new batch of people. It's like, oh, I like you. I don't like you. Okay, let's paint a wall. Okay, now let's go set a table. Like, nothing makes sense. But then through it, she also gives like little tips on like how she chooses like the furniture, or like what she does with fashion, or you get like an insight into her mind. It was like, I loved it.
Okay, well, now I'd like to copy her style, so maybe I'll go watch it too.
Stylish with Jenna Lyons.
I'm surprised that I think it's real awkward watching everybody fall over themselves for her. Like, it's cool that I don't know who runs anything. Like, I don't know who's running Calvin Klein. Like, who cares?
It's Calvin Klein.
You know what I mean? Like, but I don't know. I don't
know. His name is Calvin Klein.
Is he still running it though? He hasn't sold it to some conglomerate.
I don't know.
Like, who runs Tommy Hilfiger?
Okay, there's a bad one. Okay, I don't know who runs Guess. Okay, Guess.
Well, that's the point.
I don't care. Like, it doesn't affect me. Like, oh my God, you guys, who came up with Up and Up freezer bags? Like, I don't care. It's like some product. Like, to me, I don't care.
Mr. Target. Yeah.
But I get that, like, she made khaki cool for Michelle Obama. Like, that's cool and everything. I would be like, wow, if I met her at a party, I'd be like, that is such a cool job. I'm a podcaster. Like, I wouldn't be like, wow.
Sometimes
khakis.
Documentaries.
Khakis. Let's talk about it. Like, I don't find it that interesting. Or even if I did, I find it awkward to watch people fall all over her like she's Julia Roberts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not that crazy that some lady who ran a company 10 years ago would deign to do a reality show. Like, to me, the Real Housewives of New York isn't that classy. I don't really look at it like that. And
I love her
it's awkward
Instagram.
watching people fall all over her. I haven't looked at her Instagram. Maybe that's why I don't know how fabulous she is.
Yeah, I think if you saw it, you'd see how fabulous she is. And so I've heard you guys talk a little bit about Jessel. You've got a good impression of her going, and she's just complains about everything. That's her stick.
See, that's her thing. That's her
That's her
shtick.
thing.
Like, she's easy to read. She's a spoiled little brat, and she's really mean to her husband.
Yes.
And she's a dodo bird and a fop. It's so fun. She's easy. That's one of the most fun people because she can't help but hide. She can't hide who she is, right?
Yes, exactly. And that's why I think she was one of the first areas where we really started to find comedy on this show, is because like we could just see her fakery, and like that's the best part of any Real Housewife. For us as recappers, I think whenever we see people trying to like put on a front, or they're being fake, or they're just deluded, like that's when we just like love to go in and just like make fun of it and just like laugh about it, And so like to see the way she treats her husband, and then the way that like her eyes wide and she's like so sweet and lovely, it's like Jenna Lyons, is hilarious. And I'm like excited for them to get back from the Hamptons because I want to see more of her being terrible to her husband.
Well, I just found it so interesting about that whole like lingerie thing, because it wasn't explained at all that Jenna brought that lingerie. Now, we did see that Aaron gave everybody like matching cute silk pajamas. So was it a theme of the weekend that everybody's going to bring something? And I think the missing element is the girl, Lizzie, that got cut out, because them cutting her out of whatever she was in, I think is making us confused on the stories. Like, it was never explained really that Jenna brought this lingerie, because all of a sudden she's being offensive to Jenna. I was like, did Jenna bring it? Like, that was never explained. I watched it twice. It's like, it was never explained until
Well,
the
they
end.
said that she gave it to them,
She
right?
gave it
Yeah,
to
I thought
them.
she
She
said
said
she's
like,
like,
I have presents for you, and I have like lingerie for you or something. But then the whole thing about it being from her friend's company or whatever.
It just
And see,
wasn't
that's
explained very well. So to me, I would have been more like, oh my God, you're being such a bitch about this gift, if it was explained better. Like Jenna, like, here's this for you. I thought this would look good on you. Here's this for you. I thought it would, it was just sort of like they all of a sudden put on these outfits. And then Uba's like, my outfit's horrible. I would never wear it. Jenna gave it to me. It's beautiful. Like,
yeah,
what?
I don't know. I felt like it all tracked for me. I feel like Jenna was like, I got you guys all gifts, and I got them all lingerie, because everyone's doing like a flex. I mean, Erin gets them all pajamas to flex that she can get them all pajamas. And then Jenna just casual like, oh yeah, well, I got you all like, strange sized lingerie.
Well,
So enjoy.
her flex was that she got it from the designer of the lingerie. It was her friend's lingerie. So she's like, I'm connected. So here's my connected gift to you guys.
I didn't have to go to Etsy and get you pajamas made with your name on it.
Yeah, talking to influencer people, getting some free lingerie is pretty high up there on the impressive things list.
Well, Jessel did not like her outfit. And
the outfit was hideous. Let's all be honest.
It wasn't cute.
She was also correct that there is no woman in the world that wants to receive a gift in large. Okay? I do not care that I am large. Do not send me something in large. How dare you? If you ask me and I say like XXX, do it. But otherwise, how dare you send me a XXX? So,
Yeah.
So I got that, but you don't act like that. She was a total asshole. And I think she's just not used to being called out, and she thinks it's hilarious. And
I think
world doesn't.
No, I think she's really leaning into this complaining. So it'll be interesting to see if this is her personality, is that she complains. She's a Debbie Downer.
Oh, and she'll be 20 times as bad. Is anybody as nice as they were in the beginning? She is going to become a horror show on this. I cannot wait to see what she turns into.
Maybe if she had some sex, she'd feel better. I mean, I don't know.
Do you? I really don't.
No,
I can tell you that's never really improved my day, and I've had plenty of it. I've just been like, well, that was great. Now what?
I did like. I do like looking at Erin. I do find her beautiful to look at. I don't have much else to say about her. She's a realtor, and that's all I got to say.
She's just trying hard. She's like, I'm cool.
Really too cool for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, this is like, if you're looking for like people who are dynamic and interesting, like this is the real New York right here. And you're like, okay, great. Thanks. Thanks so much, Erin.
Let me tell you what, if I had driven like 4 or 5 hours up to somebody's house and they were like, yeah, it's going to be happy hour and I've got snacks. I'm like, yes, give me some Chex Mix. And they pulled out potato chips with caviar, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, I'm gonna need some like spinach and artichoke dip. I'm gonna
I
need
would need
something
like
heavy.
I would yes and the caviar. Like I'm down for the caviar. I love caviar. So I'd be like, sweet caviar. I'm not into the caviar on a potato chip thing. I've had it. I think it's like it's cute, but like this expensive stuff is gonna overpower it. But like give me the caviar, but like can you give me some cheese and some bread or like something
Yes,
as well? Like
something.
I'm starving. I just came from from New York City.
Well, it's so funny. She would have put out a big spread. Nobody would have touched it.
That's the other thing. Let's be
It's
honest.
Housewives. And she's
That's
probably
true.
watched enough Housewives to know nobody's going to eat. So all they want is protein. So you give them the caviar and then they can pretend they're fancy and eat a bite of it. And, but then you don't give it and you give them something to complain about. And that's the thing. They're just trying too hard to complain and be mad over little things,
Yeah.
It's like caviar and.
I love a petty fight, but I agree. There's a difference between a petty fight when it comes from like within, like it's from a true place, versus a petty fight that you're like, well, let's fight about something. I don't know. Let's fight about the cheese,
We've had 3 fights about food now because we've had the cheese fight, we've had the caviar discussion, and also don't ever go to catch because apparently
It's
that's
food.
Go to catch.
it's not in.
Obsessed. Yes.
Maybe they're food obsessed, and I that's something I can get behind. I'm food
Me
obsessed too.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I love it.
That.
Well, you guys have given me so much of your time, and I really appreciate it because I know that you are busy doing all your recapping of everything on Bravo. Tell me everything you're covering right now.
Literally
Real
everything.
Housewives of Atlanta. Project Runway we're doing for a couple weeks for fun to get a little break.
Yeah, it's good.
Real Housewives of Orange County, obvi. Below Deck is on twice in a night, so we're doing that. Below Deck Down Under.
Crappie Lake.
Crappie Lake.
Whatever is on. I think those are the main things that are actually on at the moment. Is there something else that we're missing? Real Housewives of New York, Orange County, Atlanta. We do it. Yeah, we're doing all of it. The schedule is like a little bit more chill at the moment, but yeah, we literally cover almost everything. We just whatever you watch, we're guaranteed to be probably talking about it.
What are you covering over on your Patreon? Because you do different stuff over there.
Well, we did Big Brother cast preview this week, and we did a big Amazon Prime shopping day. So, a lot of times we don't recap over there. We just like have normal life conversations.
Yeah.
We really only move things over to there when Bravo is just packed. Because right now is typical Bravo where they're like, okay, it's summer. Here's a couple of shows that no one's really into. And Crappie Lake, we'll put them all on the same night.
Yeah.
And then 2 Below Decks. Like it's just a weird summertime. And then in the fall, I'll bet you they come out with 10 really good
shows
things at one time and just like bury you.
Exactly. And then we'll probably put one on our bonus episode, and then people get mad at the other 2 that we aren't able to cover. It's just like the balancing act is really difficult. But yeah, we normally just like it's sort of like a little bit of everything on the old Patreon, but we always have a fun time doing it.
Yeah. Well, you guys know where to follow Ben and Ronnie. They're at Watch What Crappens everywhere you get your podcast. They're on Patreon, and they're on the Instagram at What Crappens. Is that right?
Instagram is at Watch What Crappens, and Twitter is at What Crappens.
And you're sticking with it. You're sticking with Twitter. You're sticking with it.
I mean, why? I don't give a shit about all this. Like, I literally do not care. I
haven't left it, but I mean, I'm not deleting it. But
I was never very active.
You're not taking a stand. Yeah.
Well, Twitter's failures will be that's going to be ultimately Elon Musk's issues to deal with, because he's the one who actually spent all that money to buy it and ruin his own
I don't
toy.
care, and I'm not a person who gets his thought down in limited amount of words, as you can tell. So I've always thought, fuck that place. I don't really care. But we're on Instagram. We're going to be doing, we used to do a show called Take a Seat on Spotify Live. That was our Monday night live show with call-ins and stuff like that. And we're going to start that again. And
good.
It's going to be on Instagram Live. We're just going to do it there just because we miss talking to everybody. So we're going to start that. It's going to be twice a month on Mondays, starting this coming Monday, August 7th. So join us for that. It's at 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern, and then we're going to be having guests and stuff, other Bravo podcasters and stuff like you, ma'am, to come on and talk to us and stuff, to just kind of get back to knowing everybody at the office, because we've been busy and haven't really gotten to know. Well, we know you guys, but we haven't gotten to like hang out with everybody. And the only way we seem to all be able to hang out is when we do each other's shows.
Yeah.
So we figured if we do this, we can kind of like get back to talking to everybody again. You know, I missed you guys. I haven't talked to you for a year, it feels like.
I know. And look at you. Last time I talked to you, I think you only had one painting behind you, Ronnie. And last time I talked to you, Ben, you were at a standing desk and had nothing behind you.
And now look at this gorgeous room that I'm in. This is this like absolutely beautiful, totally not green screen virtual background that's totally behind me at the moment. Isn't it just so nice?
I was wondering if it was green screen without rudely asking.
It is 100% green screen.
Well, it's gorgeous.
That is a gorgeous room.
It's gorgeous. Well, it looks very professionally done.
Otherwise, I'm backlit. There's like a window behind me. And it turns out when you put up a green screen, you not only can put up whatever background you want, but you no longer backlight yourself. So now I have better lighting and I have a fancy room to pretend to be in.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Well, thank you guys. And everybody make sure to follow Ben and Ronnie and follow us, please, over on Pink Shade Pod on Instagram. As you know, I'm out there whoring it out for every single follower. So I appreciate that.
Love you, Mary Payne.
Yes.
Yeah, we love you, Mary Payne.
I'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye, Mary Payne.
Bye. Ads not read by me, Mary Payne, don't necessarily reflect the views of Pink Shade. If you'd like to listen to ad-free, you're going to go on over to Supercast or Patreon, and you can find the links to Pink Shade Prime at pinkshadepodcast.com.